This podcast has been made possible by the team at BOYLE Sports.
I'm Mick McCarthy.
And I'm Tony Pulis.
And welcome to the Managers.
There's one enormous thing that's come out this year, and that is the number of players that refuse to play for the team.
The teams that just want to play like Manchester City, I find it ridiculous.
The game is about the players playing on the pitch and the supporters on the terraces. It's being taken away a little bit.
I've never been sacked for winning games, strangely enough. And I've been sacked a few times. Amorim now coming in. He comes in, he plays the same way. It doesn't look to be working.
They have to have players who are prepared to roll their sleeves up when they're under pressure and see it through.
So back yourself with BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout.
18 plus applies to bets placed on match betting.
T's and C's apply. Right, Tone, so we're cracking on today. We're having a look at some predictions, which I've never been very good at, to be quite honest with you. So,
I've got a son-in-law, Mick. He's lost a fortune on my predictions.
Anyway, yeah, we're going to be seeing where they're going to finish. We're going to try and fathom out where they're going to finish. We're lucky because the league started. It stopped, of course, for international break, so we might be cheating a bit. We've got a little bit of time.
The most important thing is the window that is just about to close, and what business people have done in that window. They still haven't had the time for the team to settle down, the new players coming in. As you know, it takes time for it all to settle down. But I don't honestly think now, looking at it from the start and what Liverpool have done, I don't think I can look further than Liverpool, actually, to win the Premier League title.
Oh, I agree with that. And I've just seen, I'm watching the Villa game yesterday and watching the manager, how excruciating it was when being asked whether the goalkeeper was going to leave on the last time. You've been there, I've been there, where you're trying to sign a player or you're trying to keep a player and you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I think there's one enormous thing that's come out this year, and it's been really, really disappointing, and that is the number of players that refuse to play for the team because they've been tapped up through the agents or through Ever to go to another club. And I think there's got to be a change now, Mick. I think we've got to have this all sorted out before the season starts. It's not fair on the clubs. It's not fair on the managers. And it certainly is not fair on the supporters. I know, everybody loves the build-up and everything else, but do it before the season starts. Because like I say, the trouble it's caused, you go from Brentford to Newcastle all the way through. These players have been tapped up. There's no two ways about it. Through the agents or through the clubs or whatever. They haven't got their mind. They're getting paid by the football clubs enormous amounts of money, and they refuse to play. I just think, it's a disgrace. But it won't change until the authorities change it. And I think the authorities now, having seen what's happened this year, it's been ridiculous what's happened.
It's been worse this year than ever.
At Newcastle with Isaac and like I say, all the way through Brentford with the young lad. I
feel sorry for Keith Andrews.
Yes.
He's just inherited a job after where that club has been so solid under Thomas Frank. Everything about it, the signings, when they've sold players, it's been done when they want to do it. All of a sudden they're being forced out, and there's a new manager coming in. Don't have to make it tough for him. Yeah,
but like I say, the authorities are running football. They're running it. They're making the Premier League is by far the best and most publicised league in the world. They've got an opportunity now and a chance after this being such a debacle, really, to actually change the rules. I hope they do. Will they? I'll ask you.
Don't you wish you were sat in an office somewhere waiting for one of your best players to leave and you're trying to sign somebody else who's half as good, wants twice as much money, and he's not going to do anything for you?
Well, the worst thing about it, Mick, is that it just destabilises the group, the team and everything else. The lad gets isolated. He gets pushed to one side. The stuff that's going on behind the scenes as well. The managers are well aware of what's going on, what's not going on. I just think wash the slate nice and clean and start again. And I really do believe the first game of the season, the window should have closed on, say, if they start on the Saturday, it closes on the Friday. Everybody knows where they're going then, Mick, and we've got none of this nonsense going on.
I agree with you. I still think up until that date, this would still be going on, but at least the season wouldn't have begun.
And being managers and having been coaches and being in that situation, it's so much better. It's so much better for the supporters.
Absolutely, it is.
It's so the game is about the players playing on the pitch and the supporters on the terraces. and it's being taken away a little bit because of money. I think that the TV, the exposure, and everything else. It's unbelievable. They say this is happening, that's happening. It keeps programs going, Mick, for 6 or 7 weeks before the season starts.
Well, it's not even.
But it's affecting
football,
football, I think.
Tony, the football clubs aren't in charge of it. If you think of Newcastle, for instance, and if they are Saudi-owned, all the money that they've got, they could just say to Isak, no, you're not going. We'll just continue to pay you. How would that affect everybody? The players. If he went back and played and he started scoring goals, the fans would soon love him again.
Yep.
The players would love him again.
Yep.
It'd be okay. But would he do that? Could he do that if he was denied the fact that he can't go?
Yep.
So I think they've got enough money to cover that, but then it becomes ridiculous because they've got the rules and regs of the Premier League and how much they can spend and how much they can't spend. It just forces their hands.
I just think it's a ridiculous situation when you think we've got the greatest football nation in the world, right from the Premier League all the way through non-league. There's no better nation in the world than British football, and I really mean that. And then right at the top of it,
that's the organisation, the leagues, and everything else. We're not talking about the team because nobody's won anything for quite a while.
I'm on about I went and watched Weymouth the other week play Wimborne the other week. And there's 1,500 people in a little stadium watching a game. It's a local derby, and it's fantastic the way it was organised, the way it's set up. Right from the grassroots all the way through.
I
to
agree with that.
football.
The setup is brilliant.
The setup is amazing. At the top of that setup now, we've got these unbelievable issues happening. And I think the authorities, whether it's the Premier League, whether it's FIFA, whoever it is, they've got an opportunity and a chance of having seen what's going on and say, no, we're not having that no more. By the time the season starts, we're cutting it and everybody's going afresh. Everybody knows where they're going when the first whistle goes.
I agree.
Right, Mick. Predictions. Premier League. How do you think the top teams, so-called top teams, have bought and sold? And does it give them a better chance?
Well, we've just been talking about finance and players leaving clubs and players signing for other clubs. I have to be honest, have I seen all the players in the first 3 games? No, I haven't, the signings that they've made. Some have come in, done okay. I still think Liverpool, and we're going back to the Isak thing, if they've signed him today, I was struggling to see past them anyway. Yeah. But if they've signed him, I can't see anybody else. I do think Chelsea have really improved. Signings that they've made. They won the cup in the summer, the World Club Championship. Yep. They look like they've certainly improved, and the young players that they bought have improved. Arsenal, they've been the challenger, haven't they, for the last 2 or 3 seasons. And then just watched them yesterday against Liverpool, and I thought they did okay, but okay wasn't enough. They didn't do enough to beat them.
Yes.
Man City's the ones that's just surprised me. I mean, I'm watching the results yesterday. They were 1-0 up, and I'm thinking, oh, great, they're back at it, and I see they've lost 2-1. Liverpool for me to win it.
Yeah.
And then back down the way, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. I have to say, I watched Everton play, and they're in 5th spot at the minute. And they played against Leeds, and I thought they played well and got done with a penalty at the end. But with their new stadium and their crowd, and
with the manager,
and Moyes is just different class. Yeah. I think they will have a really good season this year. And the 5th now, I hope they get there because Moyes is a good mate of mine. Yeah,
well, I always look at the teams. You've mentioned now a so-called group of that should finish in the top, and I always look at the teams just below them and the teams that overachieve and the teams that have been smart with their recruitment. And you look at Bournemouth, you look at Brighton, you look at Brentford, you look at clubs like that who have done absolutely amazing, Mick, through recruitment, through top-class recruitment. And every Saturday it comes around, I'm always hoping and praying those teams do well, because it just goes against the money side of it and the rich side of it, where the clubs at the top have got all the money, they've got all the riches, the bigger crowds, this, that, and the other. It's so nice to see those clubs not only survive but actually do very well.
It's strange that you and I would appreciate clubs who haven't got any money, and you're sort of doing it on a budget and trying to do it cleverly as well with the recruitment. I agree.
So I always look at them. The bottom of the league is going to be, the 3 clubs who have come up. I think Maybe Burnley haven't spent as much as what Leeds and Sunderland, but it's going to be tough. You've done it, Mick. I've done it. The first year is very, very tough, and the biggest thing, I think, and football's like fashion. Everybody follows the fashion. Pep, the last 5 or 6 years has just changed the style of football in this country like you cannot believe it. And I think a lot of teams were getting promoted and actually thought, well, that's the way to play. We've got to play that way. I don't think you do that when you're promoted. I think you have to be smart. You have to be diligent, and you have to be organised, and you have to understand that your players are not at that level. And how are you going to find a way to win?
Yeah,
now, entertaining might be a bit more difficult, but for the first couple of years, Mick, your supporters will enjoy winning. They won't worry about, we're playing fancy Dan football. They want to stay in the Premier League, and they want to come and support and get behind a team that's having a go week in, week out. So, for the managers who have just got promoted, be smart and be clever. And don't copy what other teams are doing.
Yeah, because they're not good at it. I was just going to say, you have to win the game. You don't have to play the game. You don't have to play the game where everybody else does. And you watch them doing it, you see them getting caught, and they keep getting do it, and they keep doing it and keep doing it. And the teams that you mentioned, particularly Brentford, I thought, because I was still at Cardiff when they got promoted, and what a good team they were. Yeah. They found a way to win 5-4-1. They're not worried about playing too much out the back. They'll stick it up to the centre forward and get after it. And I think Bournemouth have done the same. They go hunting them down. I think they've been very good. The teams that just want to play like Manchester City, like Liverpool, I find it ridiculous because they haven't got the players to do it. Yeah,
I think Brighton have moved on from that. I think their recruitment out of all the clubs has been absolutely fantastic. They've brought in players, and you look at them, Mick, and they've sold really, really well. Along with the other two clubs as well. But their style of football is the closest you'll get to a team that maybe 4 or 5 years ago were promoted. They've just moved on that level and have got players who can do it. And what I'm saying is, if you've got the players to do it, and you've got the players who can handle the ball in tight situations, then play that way. But the teams who haven't got the players, as a manager, as a coach, you've got to recognise what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. And the big thing is not listening to the outside noise. It's actually getting that group together and saying, hey, this is how we're going to win. This is how we're going to be successful. Forget all that nonsense. Over the next couple of years, we'll develop and we'll build. But for a start, let's roll our sleeves up and let's have an identity and a way of playing that's going to give us the best opportunity to win games.
I think the teams that went down last year were all trying to play the Premier League way, if you want. And it's about finding a way to win, no matter how it is. And you're dead right. I've never been sacked for winning games, strangely enough. And I've been sacked a few times. It was never for winning football matches.
I get young people who've worked under me, Mick, who are now in jobs, and they ring me up and they say, and they ask for this and they ask for that, and they want some advice on this and that. And I say, listen, yeah, that's brilliant. But if you don't win, you won't be in a job very long.
Talking about teams that, winning or losing, or might struggle. Manchester United, certainly after last season. What do you reckon this year?
I find it extraordinary, the amount of money that Manchester United have spent and not been able to put a team together. And the managers that they've picked, they've been given the money, they've been given the opportunity, Mick. And for yourself and myself who have been in the game, that's all you want is backing. And with that backing, I would back myself to be successful if I'd have had the backing and the amount of money that the club have given. The owners take a lot of stick and everything else about stuff that's going on and everything else. They're not a club that hasn't been backed financially, Mick.
It's going back to you mentioned it earlier on, though.
Yeah.
The recruitment. Who is doing the recruitment? So Ten Hag apparently has been sacked today. The players that he brought in, he spent a lot of money as well. Did that work? Did those players? I mean, I see those. There's quite a few of those players that they've gone out of the team already.
Well, there's a lot they're loaning now
because
they can't
to play
sell.
for Manchester United? People, I doubt it very much. I reckon I could have gone in and played for Man United.
Well,
and loved every minute of it.
We would. But I think there's a lot of players out there.
I'm on about playing, not managing.
Yeah, no, I'm on about playing as well. There's a lot of players I think can play for the smaller clubs. So-called smaller clubs in the Premier League, but then go to Man United. I think Manchester United is the biggest club in the world. Them and Madrid are the two biggest clubs in the world.
Barcelona.
But to go in there, Mick, you've got to have mental strength as well. It's not just the ability to play. You've got to have that mental strength to actually stand up when things are not going well and fight your way through it. And I'm not sure, that's come into play very often. It's a fabulous club. You've managed against Sir Alex. I've managed against Sir Alex. That club and those teams that we played against, they were all great players. But my God, did they work? You're going right back to Kanchelskis and Giggs and people like that playing wide. They made Gary Neville a better player than what he is because of the way they work back and help him defensively. And I think Gary would most probably be the first one to say that.
That's a team because not every player in all right. They might take Paris Saint-Germain at the minute and Barcelona for a while and Real Madrid, but not every good team that's won something has got 11 top players. There'll be some workaday players.
Well, I just think, if you look at it, did Scholes run around and tackle? My God, did he?
Yeah.
And so all those players you're talking. The first and foremost,
but the others
they represented.
The scrappers, the fighters, help all the good players.
They represented Manchester United, and they were obliged.
They were brilliant.
They were obliged because I think of the leader of the group. They were obliged. The first thing, don't get whatever happens outworked, outrun, or outmuscled, and their ability then took over from that because they had both.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened is, if you look at it, I think they've signed a lot of players who technically have been very, very good players at other clubs, but have they had that steel and that backbone that United need? I'm not sure, Mick.
But anyway, we're giving Ten Hag stick. There's somebody else. There's the signings he's made. Well, we're not giving him stick. We're analysing it, to be honest. That's a bit unfair on him. We're on about Amorim now coming in. And I was delighted when he got the job. And I looked at his team when he's playing with Sporting Lisbon, and they were right at it. He comes in, he plays the same way. He's playing the system he plays. It doesn't look to be working.
There's one point I'd like to make on that. I think the Portuguese league is different to the Premier League. I think in the Portuguese, if you've got the best team that year, and it goes in cycles, Ajax will have it in Holland quite a lot, Sporting Lisbon, Benfica and those teams. If you're with you most probably play 4 games a season, 5 games a season. The rest of the time, you're playing teams who are below a mix, so they're not used to managers coming in. Some of them, not all of them. Or you look at Mourinho, was unbelievable, and you can roll off others. But again, it's looking at the character of the managers. Can the managers go from having the best and outplaying teams every week in the Portuguese league to stepping into the Premier League and then taking on teams every Saturday, Mick, are well organised and are set up.
You said something about the Football League, the whole of the Football League. It's the best structure in all around the world ever. It doesn't happen here that the top teams in the Premier League are guaranteed to go to the bottom teams of the Premier League and win. Whereas you're saying in Portugal, in Holland, in places like maybe. Same with the Championship. Championship teams go to the bottom of the table and they can get scalped as well.
Oh, yeah.
Same as in Division 1, Division 2. They are...
What I'm saying is, I'm not having a go at Amorim for the way people say his system and this, that, and the other. He's got an identity. He wants to put an identity on the football club. What I'm saying is, they have to understand. Yes, it's Manchester United, and it's even more important for Manchester United. They have to have players who are prepared to roll their sleeves up when they're under pressure and things are tough, and see it through. And I don't think, personally, the one thing I've seen over the past few years, yes, they brought in good footballers. Have they got that team and have they got that spirit, desire that wins football matches?
For me, it's a given in any team because that's where your team's at it. Your players had it. They ran around. If they didn't run around, if they didn't tackle, if they didn't head it, if they didn't do all the basic things, they wouldn't play. And same as my teams. Then you've got to try and get them to play a little bit better. And you and I would have been labelled with a bit of a tag that's our teams were a bit boring, a bit, but we won games. And we might have won games that we shouldn't have won because of the way the teams played, the teams reacted. And you're right, when you go to a place like Manchester United, and I'll say, I went to Celtic to play, and you expected there, to win. So I'm not equating it to anything else, and it's the league in Scotland. But I was amazed how, when I went in there, it was you win. You go to St Mirren, you go to Hibernian, you go to Hearts, and it wasn't about getting a draw or scrapping a draw. We went there and we had to win the game.
Yeah.
And it was, at one point, the lads would be saying, shall we nip in somewhere else and nick the points off them as well? But it was the first time I'd played at a club. We all want to win. We all try our best to win. You are expected to win.
And that's the difference.
There's a difference.
Mick, what about the teams that have just been promoted? What chances? We've just talked about what we would do or what we think can be successful to hang on to that. That first year, hang on to staying in the Premier League. That gives you the money then to get even better the following year. What teams do you think will really, really find it difficult this year?
Right. The simple answer is like the 3 teams that went up as last year. They're all going to find it extremely difficult. Am I going to name them to come down? No chance, because Sunderland's one of them, and I'm not going to do that. And they've started really well. They've had the 2 wins, and they're playing. They're not trying to play like Manchester City play. Yeah. They sat back at the first game. West Ham sat back, caught them, did them. They won 2-1 late on there the other day. Leeds, watch them against Everton. They've started okay. But I was saying, we were talking before, I remember getting promoted with Wolves and we started okay. We had 7 points after 3 games. I think after about 8 games, we still had 7 points. So it's tough, Then I look at Brentford who've sold players. Poor old Keith Andrews has come. Poor old Keith, it's great for him. I know Keith, he's a good lad. He's inherited the job on the back of Thomas Frank. But then they're losing players. And some of the players who might not go, they'll still have the chin on. They want to go.
I think they'll be okay, Mick, because I think the structure within the football club.
Well, I hope so.
It's a good football club, and I think they'll stick with Keith. I think they'll they won't panic. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
My point is, they're making it difficult for him, though. They've made it difficult.
No, it's wasn't him. It's going to be a tough gig for him, whatever happens. But I'll just tell you one story. We get promoted, whenever it was with Stoke, and I decide to ring the manager who's won the league, Sir Alex, and one of the managers who got relegated, which was Steve Coppell. So I ring Sir Alex up and I speak to him, and he says, I've seen you play. He says, you got to make the Bet365 stadium a fortress. How you do it, I don't know, but that's where you're going to pick up all your points. So you've got to make that so difficult. And he says, and I'll say one thing, if any of the top 6 clubs come into that stadium and then praise you having beaten you, you're not doing it right. Left it, killed me. Okay, yeah, brilliant. I'm thinking, my head's spinning already. Now ring Steve Coppell up. And Steve had just gone on holiday. He just got relegated. So, Steve, how did you find it with Reading? He said, Tone, first 10 games, we had 10, 11 points. We're about 4th or 5th in the league. He said, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, that's not bad. Then we had a run of games. Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Everton, Chelsea, Tottenham. We never picked a point up after the next 6 or 7 games and we get relegated. He said, the only thing I can say is, whatever you do, don't get complacent, which I've never done anyway, but don't get complacent and realise it goes to the end and you might need goal difference. That's how tight it might be.
If you looked at it, when you looked at the league, when the games were coming, you'd be scared at it. You'd think, oh, we could pick up points there, we pick up points there. And then you've suddenly got Manchester United at home, Arsenal away, Chelsea at home. And you're actually thinking, well, we might struggle for any points in that bit, and that of course puts you under pressure for the next month if you haven't got a point in the month because of the games, and everybody giving out stick to you, and that's the other thing about keeping the chin up and keep facing the cameras and keep going and telling them because the questions that they ask you when you're struggling. Right, slimy questions when you're struggling. When you're doing all right, they come up, they're all nice and neat, and then they come up and throw a real curveball at you, don't they?
Well, we went to Bolton, first game of the season. Meggie was manager, Gary was manager at Bolton. Yeah. And we got trounced 3-1. Rick Camon had scored a goal, but we got well beaten 3-1. And one of the betting companies paid out on the Monday, said, whoever's bet Stoke to get relegated will pay it now because they've got no chance. So what I did, Mick, I got the paper, Martin Spinks, who was brilliant for me as a local journalist. I got Spinksy and I got BBC Radio Stoke, got them together, and I said, right, this is about now the town, about the city. It's not about the football club, it's about the town and the city. And we need everybody there Saturday. And we need everybody screaming and shouting and getting behind these lads because they're representing Stoke-on-Trent. We played Villa the next game, beat Villa 2-1 and managed over a very tough season to stay up. But our supporters, Mick, the Stoke City supporters picked that baton up. And the Britannia Stadium was just every team that came into that ground for 2 or 3 years while I was there, the hairs at the back of your neck used to stand up.
See, I'm going to pick you up on that, right? So we've come in and we're talking about managers. That ain't coaching, mate. That's managing a football club. That's managing a town, a city, wherever you are. And I've always believed that's part of it. So coaching now, and I've heard people say, well, the coach has gone at 1 or 2 o'clock. He comes in, he coaches the team, and he's gone. I'm thinking I might even try and get another job if that's the way it's going. It's not about managing the players, managing I think from top to bottom, from everybody at the ground. You have a relationship with. You are responsible for how they feel because we're the ones that's trying to get results. The players' families, everybody at the training ground. The
but it's just changed.
I know it is, but I'm saying that was a great piece of management that you recognise that it's. We don't just go back in and we put a session on because we'll coach them. No, you've put something in their minds that actually they're playing for Stoke. They're playing for that as well. It's not just about the wages and everything else. We're all sticking together. And things like that, sometimes even taking them for a pint in the week, you're managing the players to get the best out of them. And that was something that a coach, it doesn't do.
We signed Matthew Etherington and James Beattie at Christmas that year that we stayed up. I think James got 10 goals and Matty was just fantastic. One of the best underrated players I've ever worked with. He's just a fantastic player, great left foot and everything else. But when I started off in management, which was millions of years ago, I decided straight away, I'd work with Harry. I'd seen how Harry knew every player you go through the Rothmans. And
you were going to work on a Brontosaurus then, when you started.
Yeah. So what I did, I started and I thought, you've got to go to games. We went to games Monday. I can remember going up to watch Millwall at 2 o'clock in the combination. Train Monday morning, sprint across, get in the car and drive right across to Millwall, get a lot of stick from the supporters walking in, and then watch that game and then go across and watch Chelsea at 7 o'clock. So we get the reserve game 2 o'clock at Millwall, go across and watch a game at Stamford Bridge, and we do the same on Tuesday night, we do the same on Wednesday. Sometimes we go up from Bournemouth up north on a Friday, Tranmere Rovers or Stockport County would play Friday night. We'd be over there, Mick. And that was the way we seen players.
Yeah, we've done it, yeah.
And what I used to do at the end of every season, I used to always make myself friendly with one manager in particular of every league. And at the end of the season, with about four games to go, I'd ring, say, Mick, how's it going? And there's a league above us. What have you got? You got anything that's coming out? What's the best players in the league? What's this? What's that? So off, and I'd write it down, Mick. Those 4 managers that I'd pick, I'd write it down. And one still, which is Dave Philpotts, who was manager at Wigan at the time. He'd taken over at the end, and I inquired. I'd been told about a player there, and I said, what's he like? And Dave said to me, Tone, the best player at this football club is Joe Parkinson. He said he's out of contract. They've not offered him a new contract. He said he is absolutely fantastic, but he's got. You couldn't just take him then. We went to tribunal and signed him for 25 grand. Norman Haywood, who was my chairman, who was a wonderful, wonderful man at Bournemouth. We walked down the stairs. We did it at Walsall. So we walked down the stairs after we had the meeting. Walked down the stairs and he turned to me. He went, 25 grand. I hope he's worth it. A year and a half later, we sold him to Everton for 800,000. Now, that wasn't me. That was Dave Philpotts marking my card on the player. And that's the difference now, Mick. They're all on computers. They don't have to leave the room.
Who's going to find it tough? You know who's going to find it tough? And Wolves have started. They've lost players. You know, Wolverhampton. I hope they don't, because I love the club, love the place. I hope Brentford don't, because the manager's changed, but I think that they could. The three that went up, Sunderland, Leeds, Burnley are all...
Forest look as though they've got problems.
Yeah. I wonder about Villa even yesterday.
And yesterday,
he looks unhappy. He looks unhappy, and the players look unhappy.
You say unhappy. I think he looks washed out. From what he was last year, how vibrant he was and everything, he looks as though... And you know what it's like, mate, management.
Yeah, I do.
Sometimes you just hit the bottom and there's nothing left. And he just looked a little bit washed out yesterday. So they haven't started well. I expect them to improve. They haven't started well, but I'm like I say, 4 or 5 clubs for 3 positions. Championship, Mick, what do you think?
The teams that get relegated from the Premier League always think, and somebody said to me there the other day about, I think Ipswich will go straight back up. I hope they do, having been there, and it's a fabulous club, and what Kieran McKenna has done is amazing. They've not had a great start, and I've took teams that have been relegated. It takes them a long time to get going.
How do you see the attitude with the supporters as well, Nick, having been relegated? Is there still that buzz about, okay, we've gone down, but we're going to get... I think the Ipswich fans will be. Does that help? I
think the Ipswich fans will be. Yeah, I think they'll be right behind him because of what he's done. He was fabulous. 2 promotions and they're there. Birmingham, with what's going on with them, they've just got momentum, haven't they? They're flying behind, and of course, we were chatting about Wrexham, weren't we? The momentum they've got. Southampton coming down. Will still seems to be doing okay. Yeah. Coventry, what do you reckon?
They've had a great start, and obviously Frank had when he took over from Mark Robbins, which was I thought was a bit harsh, but he took the job on and obviously got him into the playoffs, and they look as though they've started where they left off last year, so they're going to have a shout in it. Birmingham, I know Craig Gardner really well. Craig is an absolute, honestly, genuine person who will work his socks off for the manager there. Yeah. He understands what a director of football has to do for the manager, so that the manager will get back there, and Craig will look after him as well. Borough have had a great start. It's wonderful. Steve Gibson's a very, very good friend. The people up there make us,
Rob Edwards, he was a mate with Wolves. He's great.
What a great start. Yeah. And West Brom and Stoke have started well, so I'm sat here looking, and I think Deb said the other day the 3 of them are at the top, 1, 2 and 3, and it's, I had great times at all those clubs and really enjoyed it, and it's just so open. It's just so open.
Sheffield United, what's happening there?
I seriously don't know what's going on there.
I mean, but they've got a group. But for Chris Wilder to get the sack,
yeah, and they've got it. Well, yeah. Again, Chris is an experienced manager who did a great job there. They've got a really good group of players there. You'd expect a lot more from what they've produced so far. Adding to the Championship and the teams we've mentioned, you've got to give Wrexham a mention. Phil Parkinson, I voted him Manager of the Year last year. To get promoted out of those leagues consecutively was just absolutely fantastic. Listen, he's had the backing and he's had money to spend, and they are now, I think, paying wages that they couldn't have dreamed of 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But he's done an absolute fantastic job. And you hope that they continue, because he is a very, very honest, hard-working kid. League One, before Mick gives his, Cardiff City, obviously from being down, I know I've given a drum roll to Wrexham as well, so I'm going to give a drum roll to Cardiff.
Well, started really well, haven't they?
Yeah,
I sincerely hope they get played. I had my spell there and I loved it. Great club, fabulous club. Yeah. You're going with Cardiff, I'm going with Barnsley. They've started well, and I hope they continue that. Huddersfield, they've started well. I'm going to Yorkshire, I'm going with a Yorkshire accent.
I'll stay away from this.
Turn back League Two. One team I'd follow is Swindon, because of Ollie.
He's Anthony's godfather. He's my son's godfather.
We'll
Ollie.
be related.
How I picked him, someone who's absolutely off this planet, to be my son's godfather, I don't know. But Ollie was a little blinking 13-year-old when I was at Bristol Rovers. And he used to carry the sticks over to the park. We used to train on the park, on Eastville Park. And he'd carry him over, and he was about 3'2" then. But so enthusiastic and great to talk. You'd stand and walk with him, and he'd be heading the conversation. He was in front of everybody else, even at that age. His enthusiasm, the way he gets teams playing, I don't think he's ever got the credit for what he did at Blackpool, the real credit. That was just an amazing,
it was amazing
achievement.
We were at the time playing against him.
Yeah.
And we, at Wolves, we got promoted. We both got promoted together, and then we stayed up as fourth, and I think Blackpool went down. But
they got a great chance.
Great chance.
Because of Ian, more than anything else. Because of his enthusiasm, Mick.
Well, he went into the club, didn't he? And he went and found the graveyard. So that was causing problems apparently. So amazing. So this is we're going back to management though. This is not to do with coaching. He goes and finds it, and what were they all doing? They were all, I don't know, praying towards it or doing something. There was something he did with the graveyard that was causing problems. He got
there
the
was
exorcist.
A ghost.
He got the exorcist to come in.
Mate.
Yeah, I mean of all things, no football. I don't know what his results were, but they were talking about the exorcism at Swindon, and then all of a sudden they end up like about 10th in the league, and now he's different class. Champions League, the team PSG, I just can't see past them if they can keep doing what they've been doing last year. I mean, the steamroll, was it Inter Milan? Inter Milan didn't turn up. No, I know, but did they not turn up, or was PSG the same?
Yeah.
I mean, if he can keep them going like that, which is never easy, is it? When we all look back at Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, how he kept them there for 20 odd years, to keep them going when players now want to leave, players change. Oh, I want to go somewhere else. Somebody's offering me some more money. Something's. It wasn't quite like that, but they're the best team I've seen in a long time.
They were very good. Having signed Isak, I think Liverpool have got a great chance now. Absolutely fantastic. They'll score goals, and I think they might be just a little bit short in one or two other areas, and whether they get things done today, I'm not sure. But they look a team that will score goals against anyone now.
So, Tom, we're 3 games in, and there's been some good results, some strange results, some horrible results for managers. Come on, then, give us a manager of the year.
Whoever wins the league, and like I've said, I've put my hat firmly on Liverpool. So your man's going to get it again, I think.
I hate agreeing with you, Tony.
It's the first time it's happened.
I'm going to have to do. So, I can't see past him, especially, as we said, if he signed Isak today. I don't know about Gay as well. They'll have a squad that could beat anybody, I think.
So you've thrown that manager of the year at me, Mick. Player of the season, I know it's 3 games again. It's ridiculous, really. We're even talking this nonsense, but we are talking it, Mick. Player of the year.
Well, right, while we're on the nonsense... We laughed when we talked about Isak. We said, I'd like to go against somebody completely different. I saw him come on yesterday. And if Arsenal perform, if they're one of the top teams, which they should be, I think Eze will be a real great signing for them. I'm going for him, somebody completely different. It's time for our predictions, and it's going to be Mick versus Tony to see who's the wisest.
I'm going Portugal to beat Armenia.
England to beat Andorra.
Hungary to beat Ireland.
Ireland to beat Hungary.
Bolton to win against Wimbledon.
Huddersfield to beat Peterborough.
Bradford to beat Doncaster.
MK Dons to beat Grimsby. Well, that's our ACCAs, and don't forget, any 4-fold on BOYLE Sports gets a 5% ACCA boost. Head to boylesports.com or download the app to find out more. Right, so that's it for this week. Next week, we've got a great player and a very good manager, past and present, coming in. Stuart Pearce, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, very much so. I was on holiday with Deb last year, and we booked a villa, and in the villa I'd forgot to bring a book, and his autobiography was there. So I know his story back to front, and I know the questions that we should ask as well, Mick.
Don't forget, if you want to email us your questions or any thoughts that you've got, you can do via hello@themanagerspod.com.
Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star recommendation.